Hello students, today we discuss integration which is part of calculus. Now what is calculus? Basically calculus is a Latin word which means payables. Initially payables were used for the purpose of counting. Now calculus is a very important branch of mathematics. Sir Isaac Newton from England is given the credit of development of calculus. Actually, the credit goes to two gentlemen, Newton from England and Leibniz from Germany. Now, students usually ask, am I ever going to use this calculus in real life? Of course, yes, it plays an important role. That doesn't mean that you will sit down and solve a tricky differential equation on daily basis, but calculus is always around you. Because of the ability to model and control systems, it gives us extraordinary power over the material world. Actually, in calculus, there are four parts. The most importantly, you should know the concept of function. We generally say real valued function. Then comes limits, then derivatives, and finally integration. In today's lecture, we will not discuss limits, but we will briefly discuss derivatives because derivatives and integration are related. Now, what is the physical significance of derivative? Derivative, in fact, uh, why derivative is used all over in all fields, not only in mathematics, but it is used in chemistry, in economics, everywhere, because derivative measures the rate of change. This is actually the physical significance of derivative. So wherever there is need to measure the rate of change, derivative will be used. Now, geometrical significance of derivative is it gives slope of tangent to the curve at a point on the curve. And the simple meaning of integration is summation. So the integral of a function can be geometrically interpreted as the area under the curve. So in general, you can say about integration. Now, what are the applications of integration? I have listed few applications on the screen. You can read those applications. For example, to find area between the curves, distance, velocity, acceleration, to find the volume. This is an important application. Then average value of a function, work, center of mass, etc. Okay. Now we are interested in knowing the application of integration in physics. So that will help you to have interest in integration and you will study integration. In physics, integration is very much needed. For example, to calculate the center of mass, center of gravity, and mass moment of inertia of a sports utility vehicle, to calculate the velocity and trajectory of an object, predict the position of planets, and understand electromagnetism. Now, in this chapter, we study an operation which is inverse of differentiation, that is integration. We now want to study the problem when the derivative of a function is given and we have to determine that function. The process of determining such a function is called as integration. Consider the following example. Suppose we want to determine a function whose derivative is 4x cubed. We know that ddx of x raised to 4 equal to 4x cubed. Now before we proceed, let me explain this ddx. What is ddx? Now this is the notation for derivative suggested by again German mathematician Leibniz. According to him, ddx represents derivative of a function with respect to x. Generally, we say if f of x is sin x, f dash of x, that is derivative of fx, is cos x. Now we need not say that. We have to just say ddx of sin x is cos x. Now, in some cases, we have to use different variable like y or t. So in that case, we can say ddt of say cos t equal to minus sin t, ddu of e raised to u as e raised to u. So again, coming back to this, therefore the required function is x raised to 4. So x raised to 4 is called integral of 4x cube with respect to x, and this is written as integral 4x cube dx equal to x raised to 4. Now consider this particular symbol for integration. The symbol is called integral sign. Again, it was introduced by the great mathematician Leibniz. Here dx tells us that the variable of integration is x. Now why this particular symbol is used for integration? You can see that this looks like elongated s, right? Why to choose s only? Because integration, as I said, means sum, because an integral can be expressed as limit of sum. Sum is sum, so this sign is nothing but elongated s. Suppose that we want to determine a function whose derivative is cosec x into cot x. Clearly, ddx of minus cosec x is cosec x into cot x. Therefore, the required function is what? Minus cosec x. Using integral sign, we can write integral cosec x cot x dx equal to what? Minus cosec x. Now we are in a position to define integral of a function. If f of x and g of x are two functions such that ddx, that is derivative of f of x, is g of x, then f of x is called an integral or an antiderivative or a primitive of g of x with respect to x. It is denoted by integral g of x dx equal to f of x, and we read this as integral of gx with respect to x is fx. Hence we say that g is an integrable function. Integrable function means whose integral is defined. That is, we can carry out the process of integration. The process of finding the primitive or integral of a function is called an integration. Thus, integration is the inverse process of differentiation. So you have to remember this fact so that you can obtain some formulae for integrals of a function. I'll again read this. Integration is the inverse process of differentiation or the reverse process of differentiation. Actually, we have already studied 2-3 such processes. For example, 4 cube is what? 64. If I want to find a number whose cube is 64, what should I do? I should take the cube root of 64, right? So, taking cube root is the process which is inverse to cubing. One more good example. What is log 2 to the base 10? You should know this value. It is 0.3010. Suppose I want to find a number whose log value is 0.3010. What should I do? I have to take the anti-log of this, right? So anti-log of 0.3010 to the base 10 is nothing but 2. So finding anti-log is the process which is inverse to finding logarithm. Now, these three parts, uh, concept of a function, concept of logarithm, and trigonometry, they play very important role in integration, in fact, in complete calculus. So you should be thorough with formulae in integration, formulae in trigonometry, and all the formulae of logarithm, rather laws of logarithm. Okay. Now ddx of x raised to 4 is 4x cube. So as we have seen, integral 4x cube dx is x raised to 4. Now observe this. This is interesting. What is derivative of x raised to 4 plus 7? It is 4x cube only. Why? Because derivative of 7 being a constant is 0. Now can you tell me the reason why derivative of 7 is 0? See, derivative measures the rate of change. Now constant is 1 which does not change. So what will be the rate of change of constant? It will be 0. So derivative of any constant is always 0. So here ddx of x raised to 4 plus 7 will be derivative of x raised to 4, which is 4x cube, plus derivative of 7, which is 0. So finally it is again 4x cube. What will be derivative of x raised to 4 minus 5? It will be again 4x cube. So what is your observation? Can you generalize this result? In general, ddx of x raised to 4 plus c is 4x cube, where c is any real number. Hence, in general, we write integral 4x cube dx is x raised to 4 plus c. The number c is called the constant of integration. Hence, if ddx of fx is gx, we say integral gx dx is f of x plus c. For different values of c, we get different integrals of gx. Therefore, integral gx dx is fx plus c is called indefinite integral. Remember, if derivative of a function exists, it exists uniquely. But integral of a function, if it exists, is not unique. Of course, this will not happen that integral of the same function is both sin x and cos x. There are infinitely many answers, but they differ only by a constant, right? From the above discussion, it is clear that integral is an inverse operation of differentiation. Hence, it is also called as an antiderivative. In integral fx dx, fx is an integrand. This is an important word. integrand, integrand, and x is a variable of integration. Now the most important thing, integrals of some standard functions. We already know the formulae of derivatives of many standard functions. From these, we shall establish the formulae of integrals of some standard functions. Why? See, derivative of sin x is cos x, and that is why integral of cos x with respect to x is nothing but sin x. Now observe three results given on the screen. The first important function is power function x raised to n. What is integral of x raised to n? To find integral of x raised to n, we must find the function whose derivative is x raised to n. And that function is x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1. So as derivative of x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1 is x raised to n, what will be integral of x raised to n? It will be x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1 plus c. Of course, n is not equal to, here it should be minus 1 and not 1. N should not be minus 1. Because if n is minus 1, denominator vanishes. See, in mathematics, you have to observe few things. Number one, you should not divide by 0. And secondly, root of negative number is not real. I should not say root of negative number is not defined. It is defined, but it is not a real number. It is a complex number. Root of minus 1 is defined to be an imaginary unit and denoted by I. But we are interested in real valued functions only. Have you observed one thing? While finding derivative, say, of x raised to n, what is derivative of x raised to n? It is n into x raised to n minus 1. So index reduces by 1 when you take the derivative. But as integration is the process which is inverse to differentiation, see what happens here. Index increases by 1. Again, while finding derivative of a function, we multiply. But as integration is the process inverse to differentiation, here we divide. So this is how you have to remember the result. What is integral of x raised to n then? It is x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1. See, x raised to n is different from a raised to x. In x raised to n, base is a variable, index is constant. Now in a raised to x, which is called as an exponential function, base a is a constant and x is variable. Now the second function, derivative of log x is 1 upon x. So integral of 1 upon x with respect to x is what? Log of mod x plus c. Have you observed this change? I'm saying log of modulus of x. Why? Because logarithm of only positive numbers is defined. You should know that log 0 is not defined. Logarithm of a negative number is again not defined. So you should say log of mod x plus c. Now you will ask me, why not ddx of log of mod x? Because when I say log x, by that I mean logarithm of positive number x. But when I say 1 upon x, I'm not sure whether x is negative or positive. And that is why I should say integral of 1 upon x is log of mod x. Now what is derivative of x? It is 1. So what is integral 1 dx? It is x plus c. Of course, you need not write 1 always. So you can just say integral dx is x, or in general x plus c. ddx of root x is 1 upon 2 root x. So integral of 1 upon 2 root x is nothing but root x plus c. See, these are simple functions, and in usually these functions are required, so you have to remember these. Otherwise, every time you will have to write 1 upon root x as x raised to minus half and then find its integral. So it is better you remember these, I think 13 to 14 results. What is derivative of sin x? Cos x. So what is integral of cos x? Sin x. Derivative of minus cos x is sin x. So what is integral of sin x? It is minus cos x plus c. Now you may say, why to find derivative of minus cos x? If you find derivative of cos x, then it is minus sin x. Do we remember results in this fashion, that integral of minus sin x dx? No, integral of sin x. So what is the function whose derivative is sin x? That function is minus cos x. So here I have written integral sin x dx is minus cos x plus c. ddx of tan x is sec square x. So what is integral of sec square x? Tan x. ddx of minus cot x is cosec square x. So integral of cosec square x is minus cot x plus c. Derivative of sec x is sec x tan x. So what is integral of sec x tan x? See, I will not say again with respect to x. So when I say integral sec x tan x, by that I mean integral of sec x tan x with respect to x. Again, when we mention standard result, it is not necessary to say plus c every time. But when you write the final answer, you should say plus c. So what is integral of sec x tan x? It is sec x. Derivative of minus cosec x is cosec x into cot x. So integral cosec x cot x is minus cosec x plus c. What is the derivative of e raised to x? E raised to x. So integral e raised to x is the same, e raised to x. In fact, this is the only function whose derivative and integral is the same. Now next one, integral a raised to x is a raised to x upon log a. In fact, this is the original result, and e raised to x is derived from a raised to x only. See, what is a raised to x? It is called as an exponential function. When I say a raised to x, by that I mean a, that is base, is greater than 0 but not equal to 1. So derivative of a raised to x upon log a is a raised to x. So integral of a raised to x is a raised to x upon log a. If I replace a by e, I get integral e raised to x as what? E raised to x upon log e. But log e is 1. Why? Again, you have to remember two things in calculus. Number one, an angle must be measured in radian only. If it is given in degrees, you have to convert it into radian using the fact that 180 degrees equal to how many radian? Pi, that is 3.14 radian. So it is, yes, and the second thing in calculus, that base of logarithm should be e. What is E? E is an irrational number, 2 less than E less than 3, and the approximate value of E is 2.7182818. So in calculus, when I say log E, by that I mean log E to the base E, which is nothing but 1. See, in calculus, it is customary not to mention the base of logarithm if it is E. Don't say that it is baseless logarithm. Base has to be there. As we are doing calculus, it is E, so log E becomes 1. So what is integral of e raised to x then? It is e raised to x. Now three simple rules of integration. If f and g are real valued integrable functions of x, then integral of sum is what? Sum of integrals. That is integral f of x plus g of x is nothing but integral of f of x plus integral of g of x. The same is true for integral of difference also, which is given in second theorem. So it is integral of difference of two functions. It is difference of integrals of two functions. Third theorem, if k is a constant, then integral k fx dx is what? K into integral fx dx. That is integral of constant into function is that constant into integral of function. See, we have to discuss integration in almost an hour only. So here I'm giving you important tips. If x is replaced by ax plus b in integrals of standard functions, then in standard formulae, we have to replace x by ax plus b and divide the obtained answer by a. See, x is replaced by ax plus b. In fact, ax plus b is called as linear function. If I say y or f of x equal to ax plus b, then it is a linear function. What do you mean by a linear function? A function whose graph is a straight line is a linear function. That is, degree of that is 1. So ax plus b is general linear function and x is its particular case, because here if we put a equal to 1 and b equal to 0, then we get x only. So if x is replaced by ax plus b, the only thing is you have to divide the obtained answer by a. Again, the logic is simple. What is derivative of sine 7x? Is it just cos 7x? No. By chain rule, it is cos 7x into derivative of 7x, which is 7. So finally, it is 7 into cos 7x. So while differentiating, we multiply by 7, which is coefficient of x. Integration is the process which is inverse to differentiation. So while integrating, it is clear that we have to divide the answer by coefficient of x. Remember, this rule is only for linear function. I'll tell you about this in detail. See, what is integral of sine 7x? It is minus 1 upon 7 cos 7x, right? So this is only for linear function. Do not say that integral of sine of x square. For that, I will apply the same rule. Remember, x square is not a linear function. E raised to x is not a linear function. Root x is not a linear function. So this is true only if we are replacing x by another linear function. Now using this concept, we list all standard formulae. Integral of ax plus b raised to n is ax plus b raised to n plus 1 upon a into n plus 1. Of course, n is not equal to minus 1. Then the second result, integral of sine of ax plus b is what? Minus cos of ax plus b upon a, provided a is not equal to 0. Now this is another set of results. Here integral a raised to mx will be what? A raised to mx upon m into log a, right? So basically integral of a raised to x is a raised to x upon log a. But what is coefficient of x here? M. So you have to divide again by m. This result is again important. Integral of 1 upon ax plus b is log of mod of ax plus b upon coefficient of x, which is a. Now this a, that is coefficient of x, can be negative. Now these results are again important. For that you should know the concept of inverse trigonometry. Integral of 1 upon root a square minus x square is sine inverse x upon a. Integral of 1 upon x into root of x square minus a square is 1 upon a sec inverse x upon a. Now this result is very important in physics. In fact, results 11 and 13. What is integral of 1 upon x square plus a square? It is 1 upon a tan inverse x upon a. Have you observed that in case of sine inverse 1 upon a is not there, but in case of tan inverse 1 upon a is there. Now these results are also important. Integral of tan x is log of mod of sec x. Integral of cot x is log of mod of sin x. Why this is so? See, consider integral of tan. Basically, it is log of sec x. Can you verify this? How to verify? Let us find derivative of log of cos x. What is derivative of log? It is 1 upon. So derivative of log of sec x is 1 upon sec x into derivative of sec, which is sec tan. So sec tan upon sec gets cancelled, and for that sec we get tan. And therefore integral of tan x is log of sec x, mod of sec x rather, plus c. Same logic can be given for integral of cot x, which is log of mod of sin x plus c. Integral of sec x is log of mod of sec x plus tan x plus c. Using trigonometry, we can prove that sec x plus tan x is what? Tan of pi by 4 plus x by 2. So I can say that what is integral of sec x? It is log of mod of tan of pi by 4 plus x by 2. Result number 4. What is integral of cosec x? Log of mod of cosec x minus cot x plus c. Again, using trigo, cosec x minus cot x can be proved to be tan x by 2. So in some cases, we go for integral of cosec x dx as what? Log of tan of x by 2. See, all these 4 results are obtained using method of substitution, but as we are listing standard formulae, I have given these results. Now let us discuss few examples, simple examples. The first one, integral of 3 sec square x minus 4 upon x plus 1 upon x root x. It should be minus 7, not equal to minus 7, minus 7. And of course, we have to integrate with respect to x. Now read the solution. Here I am using the theorem that integral of sum is sum of integrals, integral of difference is difference of integrals, integral of constant into function is that constant into integral of function. Now, what is integral of sec square x? It is tan x. What is integral of 1 upon x? It is log of mod x. I cannot integrate 1 upon x root x as it is. I have to write this in standard form. That is in which form? X raised to n. So it can be put in that form as x raised to minus 3 by 2. Now, many students ask me, sir, why integration is more difficult as compared to derivative? Uh, I think the simple reason is in derivative, there are hard and fast formulae for differentiation, like derivative of product rule is there. It is there in integration also, but in derivatives, you can use the product rule easily. There is quotient rule in derivatives, that is differentiation, but quotient rule does not exist in integration. Why integration is more challenging? Because in integration, integrand, that is function to be integrated, must be put in integrable form. So that is the most challenging part, that the function to be integrated, you have to put that in integrable form. Okay. Now the next one, integral of root of 5x minus 4. Now root 5x minus 4 is what? 5x minus 4 is to 1 upon 2. Remember, 5x minus 4 is linear, and that is why we can go for which formula? Integral of ax plus b raised to n. So it is index half plus 1, that is 3 by 2. You have to divide the answer by 3 by 2. Again, answer should be divided by coefficient of x, which is 5. And that is why I have written 1 upon 5. What is integral of 1 upon 25 plus x square? It is 1 upon 5 tan inverse x upon 5, because this is comparable with 1 upon x square plus a square. What is the answer? 1 upon a tan inverse x upon a. Integral of x square minus 4 bracket square. Please do not use the formula for x square, because the base is x square minus 4, which is not linear. So what should be done here? Expand using a minus b square formula. What is square of a minus b? It is a square minus 2ab plus b square. So here we get x raised to 4 minus 8x square plus 16. What is integral of x raised to 4? X raised to 5 upon 5. What is integral of x square? X cube by 3. And integral of 16 is 16 integral dx, which is x. So 16x plus c. Now some students, they may ask, so there are three functions, x raised to 4, 8x cube, 16. So why not to consider three constants? You can. So you will say it is c1 plus c2 plus c3. But c1 plus c2 plus c3 is another constant, that is c. See, there are two types of constants in mathematics. Number one, constants like 4, 11, pi, whose values are fixed, are called as fixed constants. But constants like m, k, a, b, c, etc. are called as arbitrary constants because their values are not fixed. So it is sufficient to say plus c. Integral of 1 upon root of 9 minus 25x square. See, 25x square is square of what? 5x. So the answer is 1 upon 5 sine inverse 5x upon 3 plus c. In sine inverse formula, there is no 1 upon a, but here, why 5? Because it is coefficient of x, because 25x square is what? Square of 5x. Now this is an interesting example. Integral of 1 upon root of x minus 5 minus root of x minus 3. I am sure that you will not think of splitting denominator. That is absurd. Many students, they split the denominator, and when they realize, then they say that it is a silly mistake. This is not a silly mistake. This is not less than Himalayan blunder. You should not, you should rather never split denominator. So what is the solution to this? The solution to this is you have to realize that you have to rationalize the denominator. What do you mean by rationalizing denominator? By that you mean multiply both numerator and denominator by the rationalizing factor of denominator. How to get that? You have to change the sign between two terms. See, even if I say rationalizing denominator, I have to multiply numerator also by the same. Otherwise, function will change. Then why to call it rationalizing denominator? Because we are multiplying by the rationalizing factor of denominator. That is why. So I have omitted one step. I have directly written x minus 5 minus x plus 3. That is simply minus 2. Constant is taken outside the integral. Now this is again of which type? ax plus b raised to n. So use that formula and this is the final answer. Now I have taken this sum because I want to tell you this important result. E raised to log fx is what? Fx. So here it is e raised to 5 log x minus e raised to 4 log x upon this. In fact, again, there is one mistake here. This should not be e raised to 5. This should be 5 only. So 5 log x minus 4 log x upon 3 log x minus 2 log x. I'm sorry about that. Had it been this only, I would have uh, taken e raised to 4 common from numerator and e square from denominator, right? And then cancel whatever is possible. But this is simply, see in the solution, now this is correct. It is e raised to now 5 log x minus e raised to 4 log x upon e raised to 3 log x minus e raised to 2 log x. So in short, this log x should have been in the index. So now this is correct. Basically, the function should be put in which form? E raised to log fx. Is that function in that form now? No. So we have to use the result. 5 log x is what? Log of x raised to 5. So e raised to log of x raised to 5 minus e raised to log of x raised to 4, same in the denominator. Now e raised to log of x raised to 5 is simply x raised to 5. So this becomes x raised to 5 minus x raised to 4 upon x cube minus x square. Next part is simple. Take x raised to 4 common from numerator, x square from denominator, x minus 1 gets cancelled. So what remains is x square. So what is the integral of x square? It is nothing but x cube upon 3 plus c. Now, next one is integral sine 4x into cos 3x. Again, had it been derivative, I would have used product rule. Derivative of product is first into derivative of second plus second into derivative of first. But integration is challenging because this function cannot be integrated as it is. First, you have to put this in integrable form. So again, you have to use result from trigonometry. It is for 2 sine A cos B. Now to get 2 sine A cos B, I write this as 1 upon 2 into 2. Now what is 2 sine 4x cos 3x? 2 sine A cos B is sine of A plus B plus sine of A minus B. This is called as defactorization formula. So I simply get sine 7x and sine x. Now what is integral of sine 7x? Minus cos 7x upon 7, and integral of sine x is nothing but minus cos x. Now integral of sine square x. Remember, we do not have power to integrate power function. In case of derivative, yes, there is chain rule. So sine square x can be differentiated easily, but cannot be integrated easily. Again, we have to put this in integrable form. So again, trigonometry. What is cos 2x? There are in fact 4 formulae for cos 2x. See, I'm going to conduct separate lecture on trigonometry. In fact, it will be a series of lectures because we have to cover everything right from the definition of uh, trigonometry to inverse trigonometry. But here, what is cos 2x? It is 1 minus 2 sine square x. So what is sine square x? It is 1 minus cos 2x upon 2. So it is half integral 1. Integral 1 is x. So minus half integral cos 2x. What is integral of cos 2x? It is sine 2x upon 2. Now you read the solution on your own. I'll just tell you again that why integration is difficult, because the function to be integrated must be put in integrable form. See how that function is put in the integrable form. The first step is split numerator. 1 upon cos square is sec square. What is sine upon cos square? Sine upon cos square I have written as 1 upon cos into sine upon cos. 1 upon cos is sec, sine upon cos is tan. Now what is integral of sec tan? It is simply sec. Integral of 1 upon 1 plus sin x, you have to multiply numerator and denominator by 1 minus sin x. So that gives you 1 minus sine upon 1 minus sine square. Why? Because a plus b into a minus b is a square minus b square. What is sine square x? It is cos square x. On splitting numerator, you get 1 upon cos square, which is sec square. Its integral is tan. Now rearrange the terms. So it is 1 upon cos into sine by cos. That is sec tan. And what is the integral of sec tan? It is sec. What is the integral of cos cube? Again, you have to put this in integrable form. In case of derivative, we write cos cube as cube of cos x. We put cos x equal to u. Derivative of u cube is 3u square. So 3 cos square into derivative of cos, which is minus sign. But in integration, we have to use different technique. I am writing this function in integrable form. What is cos 3x? 4 cos cube x minus 3 cos x. Rearrange the terms to get what? Cos cube x equal to 1 upon 4 cos 3x plus 3 upon 4 cos x. Now it is integral of cos 3x. It is given in the next slide. It is sine 3x upon 3. And what is the integral of cos x? It is nothing but sine x. Now this is again an interesting sum. Integral of sine of x plus a upon cos of x minus a. Here the trick is you have to express angle in the numerator in terms of angle in the denominator. Now angle in the numerator is x plus a, angle in the denominator is x minus a. Remember, you have to write the same function. It is allowed that you are writing that in different form. You cannot write different function. Different form is allowed. See, numerator is sine of x plus a. I have written it as sine of in bracket x minus a plus 2a. So I have written the same angle x plus a but in different form so that angle in the denominator x minus a is repeated in the numerator. Now what is sine of alpha plus beta? Sine alpha cos beta plus cos alpha sine beta. Now split the numerator. So that gives me cos 2a being constant. I write it outside the integral. What is sine upon cos? Tan plus sine 2a, which is a constant. I have written it outside the integral. Cosine term gets cancelled. So it is simply integral dx. Now what is integral of tan? It is log of mod of sec. And what is integral 1? It is nothing but x. So this is the final answer. Next one, integral of tan 2x into tan 3x into tan 5x. This is again, in fact, I will say that in integration or even in derivatives, the most part is of trigonometry and logarithm. Because here 60, rather 80% part is of trigonometry. Once you use trigonometry to put that function in integrable form, integration is not that difficult. See, what is tan of phi x? I can write angle phi x as what? 3x plus 2x. What is tan of alpha plus beta? Again trigonometry. Tan alpha plus tan beta upon 1 minus tan alpha tan beta. Now cross multiply, rearrange the terms to get tan phi x minus tan phi x into tan 3x into tan 2x equal to this. So finally, what is tan phi x minus tan 3x minus tan 2x? It is nothing but tan phi x into tan 3x into tan 2x. And we have to integrate this only. So this can be replaced by tan phi x minus tan 3x minus tan 2x. Now what is integral of tan phi x? Log of mod of sec phi x, and obtained answer should be divided by coefficient of x, which is phi. Same is for these two functions also. What is integral of sine inverse cos x? Now what is cos x? From trigonometry, in fact you had done this in 10th standard also. Cos x is nothing but sine of pi by 2 minus x. Pi by 2 means 90 degrees. See, 90 degrees and 90 degrees minus x, these two angles are called as complementary angles. If sum of two angles is 90 degrees, they are complementary angles, right? Now what is the advantage of writing in this fashion? Sine inverse of sine of any angle is that angle. We will verify this, but before that let me complete the solution. So sine inverse of sine of pi by 2 minus x is simply pi by 2 minus x. Pi by 2 is constant, so it is pi by 2 integral dx, which is x minus, what is integral of x? X square by 2. So observe this, sine inverse of sine of any angle is that angle, of course, provided it belongs to that particular domain. Now we will verify this. Suppose theta is 90 degrees. So sine 90 degrees is 1. What is sine inverse 1? Sine inverse 1 is the angle whose sine ratio is 1. So it is nothing but 90 degrees. Again, this should have been sine inverse of sine theta, not as sine theta, but only theta. So this sine should not be there. Now, in physics also, many times it is not always a simple function to be integrated. In some cases, function to be integrated is not that easy. It is complicated. So for that, you should know this concept. It is very simple one. You need not know the proof of this particular theorem. Just remember the result. It goes integration by substitution. Consider the integral fx dx. Here we are integrating the function f with respect to x, and hence x is the variable of integration. Many times, changing this variable of integration by a suitable substitution, the function to be integrated can be reduced to some standard form. So this is the idea, that function to be integrated must be put in integrable form. Hence, this method is called integration by substitution. The theorem is, if x equal to phi of t is a differentiable function of t, then integral fx dx is integral f of phi of t, phi dash of t dt. Have you observed this change? See, x is replaced by phi of t, so clearly it is f of phi of t. But note that dx is not replaced by dt. Then what? Dx is replaced by phi dash of t dt. Why this is so? See, had it been x equal to t, I would have written dx by dt. But that is not substitution. That is simply change of variable. I'm saying you have to go for substitution. See the remark. Comparing integral fx dx with integral f of phi of t into phi dash of t dt, we observe that dx has been replaced by phi dash of t dt. Thus, if we have the substitution x equal to t cube, then we have to replace dx not by dt but by 3t square dt. If you say put x equal to sine t, then dx will not be just dt, it will be cos t dt. Few examples where method of substitution is to be used. Integral of 1 upon 3x minus 2 root x. Now what is x? X is basically root x into root x. So I can take root x common from denominator to get root x into this. Now what should be the substitution? 3 root x minus 2 equal to t. Derivative of root x is 1 upon 2 root x. So if you rearrange the terms, dx upon root x is what? 2 upon 3 dt. Substitute. Now take 2 upon 3 outside the integral. So you are required to integrate 1 upon t. What is integral of 1 upon t with respect to t? It is log of mod t. So final answer is 2 upon 3 log of mod of 3 root x minus 2 plus c. Integral of sine raised to phi x. See the difference. This is sine raised to phi x means what? Product of sine x how many times? 5 times. Sine of x raised to phi is different. Sine of x raised to phi means sine ratio of angle x raised to phi. Again, it is also possible that fifth power of sine of x raised to phi. But here it is fifth power of sine x. Now what is sine raised to phi x? It is sine raised to 4x into sine x. Now you have to use common sense. What should be the substitution so that on differentiation we get sine x? Clearly it is cos x. Actually derivative of cos x is not sine, it is minus sine x, but sine ratio is there in the derivative. Now, what is sine raised to 4? It is square of sine square. Now what is sine square x? 1 minus cos square x. Now put cos x equal to t. So minus sin x dx is dt. So what is sin x dx? It is minus dt. So integral becomes 1 minus t square square minus dt. Rearrange the terms and so on. Again, you cannot integrate this as it is. Expand and integrate. So finally, you get this result. See, many students write this as the final answer. No, for convenience, we have used the substitution. So when you write final answer, again you have to replace t by what? You have to replace t by cos x. So this is the final answer. This is again a good one. The main job is to put integrand in integrable form. What is sine 2x? Here sine 2x is 2 sine x cos x, denominator as it is. Then you have to divide numerator and denominator by cos raised to 4x. Now why to divide by cos raised to 4x? Again the same answer, that we have to put that in integrable form. Now students ask me, sir, how can we know that we have to divide by cos raised to 4x? See, the only answer to this is you have to solve a lot of sums on integration. Then and then you will basically be able to use these things, that you have to divide or you have to multiply or you have to split numerator, etc. So the only uh, way to do mathematics is to solve sums in mathematics. That's it. Now rearrange the terms. So it is 2 sin x by cos x into 1 upon cos square x. Now we have divided. I can go back to the previous slide. In the denominator, when you divide by cos raised to 4, sin raised to 4 upon cos raised to 4 is what? Tan raised to 4. And what is cos raised to 4 upon cos raised to 4? It is 1. Okay. Now, numerator is 2 tan x into sec square x. Denominator is tan square x ka square plus 1. What is the substitution? Put tan square x equal to t. What is derivative of tan square x? 2 tan x into sec square x followed by dx equal to dt. So it is simply integral dt upon t square plus 1, which is nothing but tan inverse t plus c. Don't forget to replace t by tan square x, because this was the substitution used by us. So finally, it is tan inverse of tan square x plus c. Now, these are again 6 or 7 odd formulae which are important. Read those results. I think we have done the first one, right? Integral of 1 upon x square plus a square is 1 upon a tan inverse x upon a. These two results are new. 1 upon x square minus a square. See, you can pause the lecture, read the results. If you want, you can write down those results and then again start listening to the lecture once you finish the job. The first one we already done. Integral of 1 upon root a square minus x square is this. Here I have replaced constant 1 by a square. Now, this is again an interesting sum uh, where substitution is used, and one of the results given in the list is to be used. Cos x minus sin x upon root of 8 minus sin 2x. Now I have written 8 as what? 9 minus in bracket 1 plus sin 2x. I have written 8 minus sin 2x in this fashion. So I have written the same but in different form. Now 1 plus sin 2x can be written as what? Cos square x plus sin square x, that is 1. And what is sin 2x? It is 2 sin x cos x. So it is now cos x minus sin x upon 9 is 3 square, and this is square of cos plus sin. What is the substitution? I have put sin plus cos, means cos plus sin as t. So what is the derivative of sin? Cos. Derivative of cos is minus sin. So cos x minus sin x dx is nothing but dt. So this becomes integral dt upon root 3 square minus t square. It is comparable with which function? 1 upon root a square minus t square. So answer is sine inverse t upon a. In this case, a is 3. But we have put t for what? Sine plus cos. So finally, it is sine inverse of sine x plus cos x upon 3 plus c. Now this is the next one. See whether you can follow this. This is the next one. Here I have multiplied numerator and denominator by e raised to minus x. So it is e raised to minus x upon 1 plus e raised to minus x. And then I have used this, in fact, I haven't written, but I have used the substitution 1 plus e raised to minus x equal to t. See the solution. Now the next important thing is integration by parts. A function to be integrated is called as an integrand. You know this. If the integrand is product of two functions, one of which is the derivative of some standard function, that is whose integral is known, then we use the rule of integration by parts, which can be stated in different form. But here I have given the simple form. If u and v are functions of x, then integral uv dx is what? U integral v dx minus integral du dx integral v dx. Initially, you will find it difficult, but after sufficient practice, you won't find it that difficult. This result can be remembered in the simplest fashion as FIS minus ID FIS rule. I repeat, FIS minus ID FIS means what? First into integral of second. See, first into integral of second minus integral of what? Derivative of first into integral of second. Isn't it interesting? Again, this is what? FIS minus ID FIS. First into integral of second minus integral of what? Derivative of first into integral of second. Now, the choice of first and second function is important because first into integral of second function is to be integrated, and later on first is to be differentiated. So the rule for the proper choice of the first and second function is according to serial order of the letters of the word light. See, LIATE is not a dictionary word. So L stands for logarithmic, I for inverse trigonometric, A for algebraic, T for trigonometric, and E for exponential. So I haven't written in this slide, but the choice of the first and second function is made according to serial order of which word? Light, Liate. I repeat, this is not a dictionary word. So these are the meanings of letters in this word light. Okay, I'm sorry, this is there in the next slide. I was talking about this light. Now, two examples. Integral x e raised to x dx. Now, x is an algebraic function, e raised to x is exponential. So the first function is x, second is e raised to x. So x integral e raised to x minus integral of derivative of x into integral of e raised to x. What is derivative of x? It is 1. Integral of e raised to x is e raised to x. So it is x e raised to x minus e raised to x. I can take e raised to x common to get this as final result. Now the next one is log x. You cannot see product here. So log x should be written as log x into 1. As per Light rule, the first function is log x. So first function log x, Fish minus ID Fish rule. First into integral of second. Integral of 1 is what? X. Minus integral of derivative of first. What is derivative of log x? 1 upon x into integral of 1, which is x. Now x upon x, that is 1. And what is integral of 1? It is x. So integral of log x is what? X log x minus x plus c. Take x common to get this. You can remember this as standard result, that integral of log x is x log x minus x. The next one, x into sec square x. As per Light rule, first function is x. So first into integral of sec square x, which is tan x, minus integral of derivative of x, which is 1. Integral of sec square x is tan x. So we are required to integrate which function now? Tan x. And what is integral of tan x? It is log of sec x. Now this is x square e raised to x. So here you will have to integrate by parts 2 times. So as per Light rule, first function x square into integral of second e raised to x, which is e raised to x minus what is derivative of x square? It is 2x. Integral of e raised to x, e raised to x. So take minus 2 outside the integral. So again, product rule, integral of x e raised to x. So you get this as the final answer. Now this I will not explain. Now the last set of results, integrals of root a square minus x square, root x square plus a square, root x square minus a square. These results are hardly used in physics, but it is better that you know them. Now these results can be proved using integration by parts only. So integral of these functions can be evaluated by rule of integration by parts by taking second function as 1 and integrals of reciprocals of these functions, which we have already studied, like integral of 1 upon root a square minus x square and so on. These two more results, we have already listed them. Yes, these three results. Actually, these results can be remembered easily. I'll explain. Consider the first one. Basically, it is to be integrated by parts taking second function as 1. So first into integral of 1, which is x. So you always see x here, here also, here also. Then basically you have to integrate this by parts twice. And in the second case, the same function is repeated. So if you begin with I equal to, you get finally I plus I when you shift that term to LHS. So 2I equal to, so you have to divide by 2. That is why you can see upon 2 in each case. Right. Now, what is the sign of a square? Plus, so plus a square by 2, plus a square by 2, minus a square by 2. Now, what about this? If you take the reciprocal of this, what is integral of 1 upon root a square minus x square? Sine inverse x upon a. Same in case of these two also. So I think you can remember these three results in this fashion. Even if you cannot remember the second and third, you should remember the first one. Now, integral root of 25 minus x square. Again, this is of which type? Root a square minus x square. So you get x upon 2 root 25 minus x square plus 25 by 2 sine inverse x upon phi plus c. Dear students, actually it is impossible to cover integration in such a small period of time, but I have tried my level best. Finally, on a lighter note, you must have heard about Karl Marx. He has written Das Kapital. So Karl Marx used to solve sums on integration while writing Das Kapital. I say that we are not Karl Marx, but we should solve integration at least to get marks. So on this lighter note, I say thanks to all the students attending this lecture.